Could opponents at SummerSlam work cohesively as a tag team in the main event of this week's SmackDown Live on the Smackdown ReBound? We take a look at that and a whole lot more heading into SummerSlam. Hello everybody, my name is Connor, aka OKayFabe, your official SmackDown video correspondent for OneWrestling.com, and of course the One Wrestling Video YouTube channel. If you haven't done so already, make sure you go down there, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and comment down below on your thoughts of this past week's SmackDown Live. Really appreciate the continued support and awesomeness that you guys have been providing us as far as your thoughts, opinions, and all that, of course, here at One Wrestling Video, and of course OneWrestling.com, awesome source for wrestling needs. We've got a lot of things to talk about in this week's SmackDown. A couple quick announcements real quick. First and foremost, I do apologize about last week's SmackDown ReBound. The audio was a little off. That's what I get for inviting Mauro Ranallo to check this out. And he didn't fire me, thank goodness. But that's what I get for having Mauro Ranallo on the show last week. So I apologize for the audio issues. Also, it was announced that Shelton Benjamin, of course, will not be returning to SmackDown or WWE. I did mention this in a previous video. Make sure you go check that out and get the latest news. Again, subscribe and like for more content from myself and One Wrestling and One Wrestling Video. Also, check out my Twitter and my YouTube channel. All links down below. Okay, now that we got the promotional cheap plugs out of the way, let's cover SmackDown Live from August 9th, 2016, as Bray Wyatt and Eric Rowan kicking off the show with Eric Rowan looking really creepy, and I feel like that mask is just getting more and more hair, which is weird because Eric Rowan's bald, so I'm not sure where the hair is coming from, and I'm not going to ask why. Beautiful promo from Bray Wyatt talking about how he was the victim last week against the main event in Dolph Ziggler. And this isn't anything about him, except him versus the world. Dean Ambrose, of course, the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, interrupting, tempting to attack him, but instead Dolph Ziggler comes out with no explanation, not even a single peep, and jumps right in to attack Eric Rowan and Bray Wyatt. Ambrose coming in for the save, and unfortunately, just as Bray Wyatt looked like he was going to put away Dean Ambrose with the Sister Abigail, Dolph Ziggler super kicks Dean by accident, oh no, and gets Sister Abigail instead for his troubles, so the baby faces are left out to start off the show. Of course, backstage there is some altercations, and they're ready to kick each other's ass until Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan come out and announce that instead these two have to work together later on the main event, Dean Ambrose and Dolph Ziggler against Bray Wyatt and Eric Rowan. Speaking of tag team action, American Alpha took on the team of Mikey O'Shea and Mike Vega, I believe that was their names, I could be mistaken. Two local men who pretty much, you kind of guessed it, it was more or less a squash match. American Alpha looked amazing, but interestingly enough, right before the match, the tag teams of the Hype Bros, Ascension, and the Vaudevillians all watched at ringside. As soon as the match was over, all three other teams jumped the ring. Commentators didn't mention about a SmackDown tag team title possibly coming soon to SmackDown Live, and of course American Alpha dominating and clearing the ring after all the chaos and calamity ensued. I'm actually really excited about a tag team division, and more specifically a tag team title on SmackDown. If you guys were in charge of SmackDown Live, who would be your first tag team champions? How would you book the championships? Let me know down in the comment section below. What I thought was really cool was we actually saw a highlight of Miz and Maurice. Miz, of course, the Intercontinental Champion, was referring to his opponent Apollo Crews. They showed a video package at the SmackDown Live backstage area with Renee Young. And it was just kind of funny how Miz and Maurice were on opposite sides of the table and just kept crawling to each other. And so by the end of the video, they were just laying sprawled out over the table. Poor Renee Young. She looked so awkward. Speaking of awkward, Becky Lynch and Eva Marie. The match that was supposed to happen last week due to a unfortunate injury by Eva Marie. She was unable to compete in the matchup. However, this matchup went out without a hitch. Oh wait, it did. The hitches came off. Yes, unfortunately, due to a wardrobe malfunction, the match was once again canceled. Becky Lynch, infuriated over this, decided that she wanted a fight. She said, it's been 2 weeks, and I still have not had a match. So instead, we got a fantastic matchup between Becky Lynch and the debuting Alexa Bliss. This matchup was really solid, really great, really makes me hopeful and high for the women's division of SmackDown. But of course, Eva Marie coming back out to be reintroduced, apparently, to distract Becky Lynch just enough to allow Alexa Bliss to pick up the pinfall victory. Loving Alexa Bliss, loving to see where this is going. I'm eventually expecting to see Becky Lynch versus Eva Marie, maybe even as soon as SummerSlam, if not, definitely Backlash on September 11th. One of the co-main events of the evening was Randy Orton against Alberto Del Rio. Now, here's the thing I have to say about this matchup. The matchup itself, I was a big fan of. I actually thoroughly enjoyed this matchup, but the one thing I was kind of a little iffy about this matchup, and I'll be completely honest with you folks and tell you guys why. I love Alberto Del Rio. I love Randy Orton. I think they're both fantastic, great athletes. I'm a huge fan of Del Rio's work. But unfortunately, this matchup, I feel as it could have been a much bigger, high-profile matchup. Unfortunately, we haven't seen much of Alberto Del Rio on recent WWE programming. And even though Del Rio has been touted as a former 3-time world champion, I feel like this matchup could have been given a lot more importance and hype. I feel like because of the fact that we haven't really seen Del Rio much on WWE programming, really kind of made me, I don't want to say unhopeful, but with Randy Orton having a high-profile match against Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam, I think you can kind of see where the direction of this was going. However, the ending of the matchup was what really intrigued me the most. Del Rio getting upset at Randy Orton using a steel chair, and of course that gives Randy Orton the win by disqualification. As Del Rio gets back in the ring to finish off Randy Orton, we get a beautiful RKO out. Is it out of nowhere? Is it technically out of nowhere? It is out of nowhere because here's nowhere and it's coming out of it. RKO to lay out Alberto Del Rio. Heath Slater's Smackdown contract is on the line. Rhyno taking on Heath Slater. Poor Heath Slater. He tried to bribe Rhyno with that above ground pool, but his 2 to 7 children are just unfortunately going to have to wait a little bit longer. Rhyno beating Heath Slater in a very solid back-and-forth contested matchup between the two. Heath Slater tried to use the top ropes. Referee saw it. Unfortunately, that was all it took for Slater to turn around into a gore, allowing Rhyno to get the victory. And unfortunately for Slater, blowing up at Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon was not the best option, as if he had just let them finish, he would have found out that he was going to get that SmackDown contract anyway. I don't know why they're not doing this with the hottest free agent, ladies and gentlemen. I really don't know why. Carmella against Natalya. Again, another women's matchup we were supposed to get last week as Carmella comes out first. Natalya attempting to attack Carmella once again, just like last week, but Carmella saw it coming. Carmella pretty much dominates the matchup at first, but Natalya comes back pretty quick, and then absolutely out of nowhere, Carmella comes in with a submission victory over Natalya. Very shocking to say the least as far as that goes, but it makes me more intrigued. I do like Carmella. It's a little odd to see her without, of course, Enzo and Cass, who are over on the Raw brand, but I'm very hopeful and curious to see how things go, especially with, again, much like the tag team division, the women's championship for SmackDown has also been rumored as well, too, by Daniel Bryan and others. We now go to the main event, Ambrose and Ziggler against Bray Wyatt and Eric Rowan. Before we get into this matchup, there was one thing I did want to mention as far as Bray Wyatt's promo from earlier in the evening. I'm very happy and glad that Bray Wyatt is on SmackDown. You know, Bray, to me, is one of the top heels of the entire company, and I feel like on Monday Night Raw, you have such star power there. Being able to capitalize himself, especially on Tuesday Night SmackDown Live, is a huge, huge plus. Personally, I love seeing him as the top bad guy on SmackDown, and I think that it is a perfect fit for him. I think it's just nothing but positivity. I'm hopeful that that Luke Harper comes back very, very soon. But in any case, we have a solid tag team matchup between these both teams, but Ziggler, of course, using the super kick to get the win. Ambrose hitting dirty deeds at the end of the matchup to get his revenge to close out SmackDown Live. There's a lot of things about this week overall that, of course, was very set up. A lot of these matches and this show overall was very SummerSlam geared and SummerSlam heavy, meaning there were either matches or implications or ramifications heading into SummerSlam. I mean, the American Alpha Tag Team matchup was short, sweet, and to the point, as expected, but it does create the intrigue of the tag team division on SmackDown. I think they very hyped that one on commentary and also with the brawl with all the teams. The women's division, I have high hopes for. Becky Lynch and Alexa Bliss, I thought was a very good matchup, and I'm also curious to see what other tricks Carmella has up her sleeve. Of course, Orton and Del Rio was a very solid matchup, as well as the tag team main event. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with Dolph Ziggler. I think Dolph Ziggler might turn heel at SummerSlam. That's my guess. And then go full on and possibly even a rematch between Ambrose and Ziggler at Backlash, the first SmackDown event since the brand split on the network on September 11th. Rhyno versus Heath Slater was just a treat, and overall a very solid match, very solid week for SmackDown. There's a couple stars I was hoping to see this week. I did miss some Apollo Crews. I did miss some Baron Corbin and Kalisto, even though we did see them in a brawl this week backstage. So I'm hopeful for more, but I'll, of course, leave it up to you guys. What did you guys think of this week's SmackDown Live? I want to hear your guys' thoughts down here in the comment section below. Again, hit us up on the various social media. Make sure you support One Wrestling. Follow me on Twitter at One Wrestling. And, of course, follow the legendary, the iconic Bill Apter at After One Wrestling. Yours truly at OKayFabe. Subscribe to One Wrestling Video. You guys have been killing it in subscriptions, views, likes, comments. You guys have been amazing. You guys have been awesome and a huge mega support. And I appreciate that. If you guys want more of my content as well, too, I also have my own YouTube channel, youtube.com/OKayFabe. Make sure you go check out that link in the description box as well too. Thank you guys again for watching an amazing and awesome edition of Smackdown ReBound. Again, your thoughts on Smackdown Live this past week and all the other fun things I was talking about down in the comment section, Twitter, all that fun stuff. And I appreciate the continued love and support. And of course, to quote the legendary Bill Apter, we will see you at the mat.